Hail, O star that pointest towards the port of heaven, thou to whom as maiden God for Son was given.
Welcome to this series of short talks introducing Divine Worship Daily Office. My name's Father Paul Burch, and I'm a priest of the personal Ordinariate of Our Lady of Walsingham. In this episode, I'm going to take you through how to mark up your copy of the Commonwealth Edition of Divine Worship Daily Office for a major feast. You'll find another guide for regular days, and it might be best to watch that episode first. But in this episode, we're going to look at the way we use the book when there are special psalms and lessons. If you already have a copy of the book, it would be a good idea to have it with you for this episode. You can pause the video as you look things up. We're going to set up the book as if it is the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and as if we're about to say evening prayer on that day. First of all, as a solemnity, we need to know that the Immaculate Conception has its own special readings from the Bible. These are called proper lessons, and they're set apart from the usual pages with readings. On major feasts like this, there are also sometimes proper psalms. Sometimes these are mandatory, in which case it'll say that when you get to the collect. Other times it's optional. If you look at page 68, you can see that there are optional proper psalms for today. If you want to use those, you'll need to flick around a bit, but for our purposes, we're just going to use the normal psalms. As the Immaculate Conception is kept on the 8th of December, this means we're using the psalms of the 8th evening, and we'll come to that in a moment. So, first of all, we need the collect. This is on page 177. Go ahead and turn to that now and mark it with your first red ribbon. Next, you'll want to turn to evening prayer. Remember that you can start evensong on major feasts with the introductory penitential act, starting on page 371. If you want to, mark this with your green ribbon. Otherwise, turn on to page 421 and mark the start of evening prayer. For the psalms, as we said, you can either use the proper psalms or the psalms of the day. If you want to use the proper psalms, you might find some prayer card helpful to mark the pages. This can be a bit fiddly, but it's only a few times in the year. If you want to use the psalms of the 8th evening, you can mark those by turning to page 504 and adding the yellow ribbon here. Next, you'll need the lessons. If your book is already marked for a normal day, you don't want to lose your place, so maybe use another ribbon or a prayer card to mark the proper lessons for today. These are at the end of the lessons, so turn all the way to page 1976. Now here you'll actually see that there are readings not just for the day, but also for the eve of the feast. So this means that on the 7th of December at evening prayer, we are already keeping the Immaculate Conception. Finally, you may want to sing a hymn or use some other texts for such an important feast day of the church year. These are in the supplementary texts, and for the Immaculate Conception, you'll find them on page 302. Here you'll see that it also points you to the common of the Blessed Virgin Mary. These are texts that are used on most feasts of Our Lady, so again you'll need to move between them as you go. These major feasts are sometimes more complicated to navigate, but that's because the Church gives us special texts to mark them out from the normal course of things. From my experience, that extra effort always pays off. And as you get used to using your office book, you'll see how straightforward it actually is. Remember, you can always ask your local Ordinariate clergy for more help. Please take time to watch the other episodes and enjoy using your copy of Divine Worship Daily Office. Please remember the Ordinariate in your prayers and know that we are praying for you too. God bless.
Hail, star that pointest towards the port of heaven, thou to whom as maiden God for Son